My last video on Planes Mistaken for Stars made me wonder whatever happened to those cheap sampler CDs I used to buy. Feels like there was this short moment in time where for a few years you could get these CD samplers from record labels and discover all kinds of new music. Cheap. My friends and I discovered so much new music that way. They were so cheap you might have been buying it because you recognized one artist on the CD. Or maybe you just thought the artwork was cool. You could find them at pretty much any record shop, even HMV, or even distro tables at shows. I remember I was always excited to get home and put it on. The joy of finding new music was just as real then as it is now. I know there are definitely other samplers before I got this one, but this is the first one that really stuck out to me. Survival of the Fattest. I saw the price and the artwork and I was just so intrigued. I grabbed it without even looking at who was on it. I mean, can you really go wrong for $6? And yes, I know it had printing right on the album that said it shouldn't be sold for more than $4. But I'm in Canada, and the exchange rate has never been our friend. From the first few notes of High Standard's California Dreamin', all the way through to Me First and the Gimme Gimme's cover of Country Roads, it felt like this was one of the greatest albums that ever existed. This one album alone introduced me to bands like High Standard, No Use for a Name, Lagwagon, Diesel Boy, Good Riddance, Wizzo, Strung Out, Frenzal Rom, and even Me First and the Gimme Gimme. So you can see how sampler culture would leave such an impression on me, but retrospectively also be so important to punk and hardcore. The next compilation that left a huge impression on me was The Difference Between Us from Goodfellow Records. I remember having just enough money for a t-shirt or an album, and I got the t-shirt. It was a straight edge t-shirt that said, "The salvation of my choice speaks louder than my voice." Yeah, I was a little idealistic. But thankfully, my friend picked up the comp. This album had Prayer for a Fallen Angel, Acacia, Harvest, Officer Down, Disembodied, Torn Apart, Despair, and Left for Dead. Some of the bands I was already familiar with, but again, it added more music to our group's collective library. And honestly, if this got re-released today on vinyl, I'd probably buy it. Then a girl I was dating gifted me Victory Style 3. Here I was exposed to Hatebreed, Catch-22, Integrity, Scarhead, Warzone, and Blood for Blood. I have fond memories of throwing this album on while going to local shows. My best friend moshing in the front seat of my parents' Caravan, and then diving into the back when Before Dishonor came on. Those three albums came out in 1996, 1997, and 1998 respectively, and they're just the tip of the iceberg. Aside from Mods and Rockers on Monday Night College Radio, these samplers were probably my biggest source of new music. But somewhere after my favorite radio program faded away, but before Napster broke the gatekeeping power of major radio and record stores, it seemed like the magic of these cheap compilations died. It seemed like the various artists section was suddenly flooded with these best of compilations or genre anthologies, and the budget samplers were fading away. The prices were rising, and suddenly it was hard to find something that wasn't just the same price as a regular album. Most of these samplers were import CDs and immediately came at a premium. So what were some of your favorite bands you discovered through these cheap samplers? Or what cheap sampler do you think I should check out next?